following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
This week on the Defy Life Podcast, we will discuss the Minneapolis Police Department possibly being defunded and dismantled. We'll talk some NFL and possibilities of Colin Kaepernick now being signed. Talk some NBA with them making a return for playoffs. And as always, we'll answer a listener question and wrap it up with some trivia. All that and more. Let's get to it. Yeah, that's what it is. I guess we gotta do it then. You all right? Chill, pool, out, money, West Coast. Let's get it. Strap in, let's take a ride. Oh yeah, it's about that time, right? Been waiting all week to get to this. It's finally time to defy life. Let's chop it up, keep it trail, no other way. That's what we do. We might disagree, but it's all love. Guarantee we gon' speak the truth. Yeah, this hit different. My guys with me now. Who's with us? Stick around for a few minutes. It's contagious. You'll get it. You downloaded the realest. Don't feel us, forget out. You not rocking with Defy Life, then what's your life about? This ain't Defy Life. Told you. On to the shy life. Welcome back to the Defy Life Podcast, powered by the Defy Life Podcast Network. This episode is sponsored by Bud Bottles, home of the Bud Bottle and the Bud Freshener. Please visit budbottles.com for your odor eliminating needs. This is episode 161. Y'all come on in, wipe your feet, close the door behind you. I'm your host, J.R. Glenth. Joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Alvin Glenth, Thomas Stevens. What's good with you, Al?
Man, I'm feeling good, sir. Feeling real good. Just good to be here. My body has recovered from protesting over the weekend.
Yeah.
Not that I got beat up or anything like that. I'm just old.
Right.
So that's it was good though. I'm doing good.
Cool. Good stuff. Pooh, what's good?
Man, you know it is what it is. My body different beat. Shout out to Al.
Word.
Hey, I feel good as well. Literally, you know, I was putting down a little wine, so I know that might sound a little soft, but
your body.
But I was putting some right. My body.
Just not the same.
Just not the same. Can't get out there and show out like like past years.
Right.
But I'm happy to be here.
I'm about to take this wine to the head though.
To the the dome.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Be intoxicated with 2 days off that wine.
Right.
7%. Right.
Oh man. Well, it's good to be here, man. And again, with everything going on, you know, can't wait to chop it up with y'all about what's going on now. And first off, shout out to us. We had a really explosive week last week. One of our highest listened to shows with our free talk episode. Apparently, our listeners were feeling it. Got a lot of good feedback. I even became a magical Negro over the last week. And
ooh, that's always good.
Yeah, you know. And then shout out to us again and our wives for on the One Eye Shut podcast for garnering the highest listened to episode across the network ever.
Wow.
Yeah. So shout out to us and our wives. Again, like first of all, we joked, Al and Pooh, that me and Al just gonna have to start arguing every week because apparently the fans love it. Our wives didn't enjoy the joke.
Not at all.
So.
They didn't even think it was a joke. Right?
Yeah, they thought it was serious, right? So
right.
I was like, these is jokes. These is
jokes.
Just jokes. Man.
It's just.
I mean, we even put the LOL and the smiley face next to it and everything.
Right. It's just comedy. Like Keita woke me up at like 2:30. Like, yo, you got to talk to Al and Jay. And I was like, yo, what are you talking about? I was like, yo, what are you talking about? No voice is bullshit. Hey, 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock. She wake up and say that. Got to talk to Alan J. And I was like, man, them boys tripping, man. I was like, you wow.
Oh,
you wow.
yeah, I totally did. You know, just at the dinner table, like, yeah, I think the people like me and Al arguing. We got to keep doing this. This is not the Defy Life podcast, Jay. We're not doing this. I'm like, I'm joking, man. You better be.
Right. She put that in the thread, though.
Right.
She was like, it's not right. Right.
Oh, man. So, but again, man, kudos to y'all. You know, and across the entire network, everybody's numbers were up. So, just got to keep pushing. And also, everybody, as always, we just want to give a shout out to our patrons, because you know, especially over these past 3 months, our patrons been rocking with us, as we've been more content focused, and you know, they've been appreciating the content, pushing the content, sharing it, all that stuff, because you know, with people being, you know, locked in at home and not as much outside activities to do, y'all been rocking with us and helping us grow this thing. So I want to appreciate all of y'all, and a special shout out to our patrons of the week, Taylor Jones and Willie Pelser, also better known as Willie Lean. What up, Willie Lean? Taylor and Willie, thank you guys. Special shout out to you this week. People always ask us what's the best way to support the network. Go to patreon.com/GoDefyLife and become a patron of Defy Life. You can help support our growth and allow us to host events and continue to work in our communities. For less than your favorite fast food combo meal, you can support the network. So check that out at patreon.com. You can also follow our written content at GoDefyLife.com. Check out all of our podcasts at DefyLifePods.com. And, of course, check out our branded apparel at DefyLifeGear.com. We got those new Juneteenth and those new blackout tees. The blackout tees are so dope. They've got we've got the taglines with I Can't Breathe, Black Lives Matter, and Stand With Us. So those are flying off the shelves. Y'all definitely check those out. And I think I covered everything. No, I did not. You can find us on DefyLifePods.com, but also iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all those other places you listen to your podcast content as well. So find us anywhere. Al, did I cover everything?
You hit it on the dot, sir.
Whew, good, because I was running out of breath. On to business. So, that's all the stuff we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks. You know, I don't think you can turn on any kind of media right now and not hear someone talking about, you know, you don't hear the name George Floyd or Minneapolis or Colin Kaepernick or Drew Brees, anything surrounding, you know, those keywords are going to pop up. But you know, with that being said, you know, we talked and had a long conversation last week about next steps and whether you agree that, you know, only peaceful protests are necessary, or that you agree that violence is necessary. Whatever you agree, whatever you think, we did all agree that there at some point there has to have to become next steps and evolution in the process. Oh, so with that being said, man, there's the Minneapolis Police Department is, you know, the city council has decided with a non-veto decision to defund and dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department. They're going to have, I'm assuming at this point, they're thinking a 1-month trial of just complete reform. Al, what are your thoughts on that?
You know, I've had to do some education on my own to kind of figure out what does it mean to be defunded, because the initial, you know, when I initially heard it, I just assumed like just getting rid of the police, and like I think in the most radicalist forms of it, that's what some people are referencing, but I don't think that's what most people are advocating for, where you just have a society with no law enforcement. Like that's not what they're talking about. So once I did some research and got a sense of they're really talking about reallocating resources so that some police forces are more equitable in terms of the resources they have compared to their real need. And then also, I've heard over the years, even from police themselves, that they are doing things that really aren't in their, like, kind of beyond their scope of work. And if we can kind of help them stay in their lane, and then maybe take some of them resources and put them in the hand of some mental health and social support agencies and some youth development and some nonprofits, I think it's a great idea. And I think that would be a great reform to come out of these efforts. So I support it.
Yeah. Pooh, what about you?
I definitely like the police reform, and I would rather instead of defunding, because I really love the aspect of stripping them down, starting over from scratch, getting the guys that really want to get in and police and really have protecting our community and citizens at heart, get those guys in there. But I would love to put more money into the actual police department, because you can get the guys that really have those things at heart in there, because the only people that get paid less than educators are policemen and firemen, believe it or not. So, I mean, put some more money in those guys, get those guys more training. And I like the mental health, get those guys a mental health aspect, get more screening. So that's why I say put more money into the police department, so we can have those avenues touched and those those areas touched, and we can have guys in there that really, really want to be in there. Mm-hmm. Instead of guys it's a last resort.
Right. And I agree that, and I'm not sure if they have to defund before they, I guess we can say refund, and try to,
a refund.
Yeah. So, before they have to defund before they reallocate the funds. So maybe that's what they're going to do. I don't, and I do agree that some kind of reformation as far as funding has to be done, because one of the reasons that the bad police officers are so blatant about what they do is because they know ain't no money coming out of their pocket if they get sued. That's coming from, the people. So I think some kind of reallocation of funding has to take place so the actual officers and the departments can be held accountable financially. So maybe that's the plan. We'll see. But I definitely agree with some sort of dismantling as well, because, that it makes no sense that, when there's a mentally ill person that needs assistance, why are we sending police officers? They have no training in mental health. So to kind of reallocate those funds where there are appropriate quality and quantity mental health assistance there to be sent out to those calls. So we're not relying on the non-trained police officers handling that and escalating the situation, whether it's out of fear, miscommunication, whatever that is. And then also, I know we keep saying training, but I don't even know it's a matter of training in certain regards, because these things don't happen in affluent neighborhoods. They're perfectly trained in affluent neighborhoods, so they know what to do. It's just a matter of, I think it's really a matter of what kind of person you have in there.
What kind of person you are, right?
Whether they're going to allow their biases or, to take precedence over their training, or, whatever that is. They know what to do. It's just a matter of applying it evenly across every area, every person, instead of allowing biases to step in. So I think we're all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And so,
it has to change. We're really talking about, to me, the police department is just a microcosm of the bigger societal issues and the culture that we have that values some lives over some other lives.
Right.
And I mean, we can get into like, white supremacy and just understanding that mindset is embedded in this society.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that really is what you see is, and when you talk about the affluent neighborhoods, is that they really are making a decision based on the values of many in this society. And that, I agree, the training, can help, but at the end of the day, we're going to have to adjust the values of our society.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I like what you said, and kind of mesh between you and I and Al with the mental health. So let's have different response teams for different responses.
Yeah. Exactly.
Let's allocate that. Get that training for for that as well. That's what I meant by training and whatnot. But let's allocate different guys for different situations. And like you say, don't send guys out there blindly that just doesn't have a clue at all.
Right.
About what's going on, and get out there and like the mental health issues when the behavior therapist was out there and they end up shooting that guy. Because they had no idea what was going on with the mental illness, what the behavior therapist does. So boom, they shot that guy. Then the other guy they killed with the mental illness, they shot that guy down just because they don't understand. And they can't equivalent or draw a parallel to someone with mental illness.
Right.
So you can't deploy any officer to any situation unless they're equipped with knowledge about that situation. Period.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think we also have to, and you're absolutely right. Whether that's mental health situations, child care situations, there's some some things don't always require police. So yeah, I agree. There need to be different response teams, and then also, like, they have as far as the training goes, I think that one of the things that can be addressed through training, is I guess equipment and training, is militarizing the police. They don't always have to be trained in military style combat with military equipment. It's not always necessary, and we see now that it goes from 0 to 100 real quick with them equipping themselves like the military. They show up like the military, and that's not always necessary. And then through the communication and how they're implementing the information, whenever you say, when there's a war on drugs or there's a war on whatever, and a war on this or a war on that, and you give them the equipment to fight like a war, they need somebody to fight. And that's when communities turn into their enemies. When you keep telling somebody they're at war, they're thinking they're going to fight a war, and they need an enemy to fight. And their communities are turning into their enemies. So that notion needs to be revisited, and we need to re-educate them on what their duties are. Their primary duties, of course, are to protect. And to serve and protect. And now it's come to a point where most of our police departments are trained to fight, and that needs to change. So.
And one more thing before we exit out, a lot of the officers, they're just not following protocol because in my position, if there's engagement, and of course, I know know the movie with Samuel L. Jackson. There's always rules of engagement,
right?
So before you have to interlock with the individual or in the police notion, pull your weapon or XYZ, it has to reach a certain escalation or a certain point. So these cops they're not even allowing it to reach that certain point. They're not even coming in peaceful. They're coming in hands on their trigger or guns already drawn.
Right.
So if you're not following protocol, if you're not following the rules of engagement, that needs to be your very last day in the office, period. Or you need to be reprimanded heavily, and they're not being given these reprimands at all.
Right.
Or sent to jail, sent to prison.
Exactly.
Right.
They need to be dealt with harshly, because even with me, with my situation, when the cops did whatever to me, bro, when I rolled down the window, it was 12 guns drawn on me, and I didn't even know it was for me.
Wow.
So no one talked, no one said anything. They just told me, get the fuck out of the car. So I mean that's just, there's no tact with a lot of police officers. There's just not any. Not, hey, we need to speak to you for a moment. You're suspected of XYZ, or can we speak to you for a moment? There isn't any politeness. They just feel as though they're the lions of the jungle, and we definitely need to address that.
Yeah,
yeah. And I think historically, like, that is the role they have played for this society. Is the beating down of poor people of color. Like, I mean, I think whether it was in the South and the role they played to maintain Jim Crow and post-slavery and segregation, or even when blacks migrated from the South up to the North into these urban communities, I think you have whites who are often police, and then people of color who then take some of those roles. But the police are used as a way to maintain the quote unquote law and order amongst the people of color. And I think that just creates this adversarial relationship on both sides. And that just has to stop, especially when you have one group, like we talked about, that also has these high military weapons. Like that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely, the wheels of change are turning and in the right direction. So we've just got to continue to make strides and make progress. I know it's frustrating. I know one of my biggest frustrations is, as a man and as a citizen, as a person, like, why can't sweeping change? Why do I have to wait for my equality? So within this progress and this process, we have to remain patient and remain diligent, because we want it now. We should have it years ago, but we've got to be patient and get these things accordingly. So it's moving in the right direction. I was a guest on Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC this past week for this week's episode, and I had no idea that Oz, Uncle Oz, his mother, she was very prevalent in the civil rights movement, and she was one of the national VPs of the SCLC, and so she was a civil rights activist, and she even said that this time feels different. So it's good to know that it's not just us thinking that this feels different. Even people that were involved and that have been involved in civil rights for a long time sees the difference in this current movement. So that's a good thing to know. But yeah, so moving on I want to talk a little bit of NFL. Of course, the NFL made a statement last week. It's basically saying that they missed the mark on players kneeling for protesting police brutality. That I think Colin Kaepernick first kneeled 4 years ago, and so it's taken this long and this much action for the NFL to finally acknowledge that hey, we were wrong. They never mentioned his name in their statement, however. Neither did Roger Goodell. But at this point, of course, people are saying, hey, maybe this opens up the opportunity for Colin to finally get a chance. We've been here before. We think, hey, maybe this is a time Kaepernick gets an opportunity. But even if it does open up that door, it's been 4 years since he's played. Pooh, do you want to see him get an opportunity and take the chance of him looking like Dookie Juice on the field?
Hey, I don't think you'll look like Dookie Juice, because I mean, you got the Mike Glennons and the what is Nathan Perryman still out there. So
and they look
I don't
like
think
Dookie
you'll look
Juice.
like, they look like Dookie Juice, but he's light years better than those guys.
Yeah.
Even coming off land on the beach for 4 years.
Right.
So I'm I'm open to letting him get out there. If that's what he wants, I would definitely advocate for it. And truth be told, I remember a call I made to you maybe 3 weeks to a month ago, and I was like, "Yo, I want us to cut Mitchell Trubisky and just sign Kaepernick and let Kaepernick and Nick Foles fight it out." We're not signing Trubisky next year. We're done with him, and Pace is only hanging on to him because they don't want to admit that they made a mistake on not drafting, Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes, or even the Allen kid up in Buffalo. So they don't want to show that they made that mistake. So that's why they really hanging on to Trubisky. But I would love to just cut ties with Mitchell and bring in Cap and let him fight it out. Even if they just sign him and let him fight it out, because he'll take that economic contract, the economically friendly contract to go to a place where he figure, shit, I'm better than all these guys.
Right.
Even I've been laying on the beach getting a tan for 4 years, but I'm still better than Nick Foles and Mitchell Trubisky. So I think he would do it, and I would definitely welcome it. And if he desires to play, I definitely want him to get signed and get out there and compete for a job.
Al, Dookie Juice cap or nah?
Man, I'm confident. I think he'd come back looking better than Dookie Juice.
Right.
I would definitely be interested in seeing him get a shot. And I also think the league should have went further, being more specific, less vague in their statement.
Absolutely.
And I think they should have specific, and I guess maybe that's marketing, maybe that's politics, whoever wrote the statement. But I think he should have specifically referenced kneeling, specifically referenced Kaepernick.
Agreed.
So that it's not left up to interpretation.
Right.
And I think what he has allowed is, to me, is just the and what I've been saying for the last few days, talking to a couple of my siblings, is, be careful of the okie doke. And that what I've seen and what we've seen year after year after year from this beast is they try to, I guess, trying to minimize the pressure. They appease and appease and appease, just trying to tell you what you want to hear without really telling you anything, and allow you to run with it, even though that's not exactly what I said. But if you're going to run with it thinking that's what I said and just, calm down, then that's fine too. And so I think we need to be careful and not give them credit that's not deserved.
I agree with that. Definitely. And they all about minimizing collateral damage.
Right.
So that's where they are right now. And I definitely agree. They definitely should have, said Cap, by name and apologized discreetly to him as well. And it was vague. And I hated it. Some points pinged to me, but I really, really hated it. And just to go off kilt, I hated the Bear statement, because it was vague. And we're really gonna, it's about X, Y. They didn't say. They just said we're gonna support our players. They didn't say, we supporting, the Black Lives Matters or the minority or our players of color. They didn't say any of that. The context was just vague. The only person that really addressed us was Matt Nagy. He gave the guys the day off. He's like, hey, guys, take it. We support you guys. You guys matter. Black guys matter. We appreciate it. And we're in it for you guys. We wouldn't be anywhere without you guys. So he came out and he was heart-held speech and whatnot. So I appreciate Matt Nagy, but our office and our owner, it was terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And then
go ahead, Al.
I guess I've been bombarded with these statements that, we stand in solidarity with you, or we with you, Black Lives Matter. And I'm like, what does that even mean to you?
Right.
To the person who's saying it. Like, so, I saw Amazon, we stand with Black Lives Matter. Okay, so are you down with Black Lives Matter? So are you down for black folks getting reparations?
Right.
Are you down for let's see, are you down for top black athletes going to HBCUs instead of Duke in North Carolina?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, like, are you really down with us? Are you down with us spending money continuing to make you wealthy?
Right.
Is that what you mean by you down with us?
Right.
Because that to me is we just got to continue to question what they say.
Right. And question and push back because, for one, you're right. They want to appease us to keep us spending money with them. But then also, it's classic NFL where they don't take a side. They straddle the fence on everything.
Right.
And a lot of these companies because they don't want to, they're afraid of offending people. And when I say people, I mean white people. They're afraid of making them uncomfortable. And I saw a statement today that said, somebody posted, I'm uncomfortable with black folks who are uncomfortable with making white folks uncomfortable.
I get it.
Right? And so it's that like, we still have to hold their hands and baby feed them and babies taking baby steps with making them feel comfortable with things that need to be changed in white communities and in white businesses. We shouldn't have to like take baby steps with them. Like, right from wrong. And, if you treated this in the same manner that you would want your kids or your parents or your spouse or your business partners to be treated, you wouldn't try to appease the oppressor. But if if it's a matter of your family's well-being, so why are you trying to appease white people into treating us fairly? Don't make sense. So it's classic NFL, and not just on racial lines. Classic NFL on everything. Where they are afraid of making white people uncomfortable, or they're afraid of making corporations uncomfortable, or sponsors uncomfortable. They don't want to take a side. So you're absolutely right. It was a gesture, but it was bullshit.
And I think that what you're talking about in terms of not wanting to make white folks uncomfortable is really so much part of the black experience in this country. Yeah. And it is just this consistent tolerance that black folk are asked to endure as they get little bit of change, and it's like, so we're gonna make a little bit of progress, but in the meantime you're gonna have to tolerate this other shit. And so it does seem different in that I've heard people who have been more tolerant seem to be less tolerant. And I don't know if it's this empowerment going on in people where they're just, feeling the spirit of the protest and like, this time is different, so I'm going to speak my truth. But I have heard people that have been kind of surprising, like the the NASCAR driver, I think Rusty Wallace, black dude who, I think that's his name, who's advocating Wallace. For Bubba Wallace, advocating for no more Confederate flags at NASCAR. And it's like, great. It's like, so part of it is like, well, you've been a brother for the whole time you've been driving. Why you ain't asked for that 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago? You know what I mean? Like, so another example of what he tolerated to be part of the organization. But I'm glad to see that he has been empowered to advocate for, what he feels is right thing to do, to make people comfortable when they come to these NASCAR events. So it's different, but it's good to see. It's good to see. It's all progress.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I'm joking, of course, when I say Dookie Juice Cap. I know Cap is, based on his workout last year, when they gave him a sham of an opportunity to work out. He looked good in that workout, so he's not gonna be Dookie Juice and Pooh. I don't think he's sitting around the beach getting tan. So he's been working out. So I would like to see him get an opportunity because, as we've known since this whole thing started, he's better than somebody that has a roster spot in the NFL.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, cool. Well, we're going to jump into a commercial, and we'll be right back with you.
We're told that greatness is exceptional when it should be expected. You choose every day to live your life intentionally, without apology for how bright your light may shine. So go be great. Go be brilliant. Go be you. Go defy life. The Defy Life movement is one that speaks to each of us in its own way. Defy Life Gear speaks to us all by reminding us that one size does not fit all. Visit defylifegear.com to get fitted for greatness.
Welcome back to the Defy Life podcast. This is episode 161. It's J.R. Glenf, Alvin Glenf, Thomas Stevens. Guys, we are going to jump into some NBA talk. NBA is scheduled to come back. All teams are playing in Orlando on the Disney facilities. There'll be 22 teams coming back. All teams that are within 6.5 games of a playoff spot. And they will play 21 games. I think 21 games, and and then head into the playoffs. Of course, it's a different field. They've been off for a couple months now. Some players are going to be rusty. Some players have been working out harder than others. So it's a different field. We've never been here before. So with that being said, Al, which team, based on how they're constructed, roster, coach, all that stuff, which team is best constructed to win a title under this return format?
I gotta look at. I gotta look at the Lakers as a strong favorite.
Mm-hmm.
With two veterans, and from what I've seen, they look in great shape. They were playing well at the end. They're a veteran group. And so I would imagine that they have been professional and continue to kind of put that time in, that work, and will, if anything, this has allowed them to become even more cohesive in terms of the system that they were using and bonding as a group. So I'm thinking it should be them, especially in an environment where they're going to have to kind of be focused and kind of try not to get distracted with the sense of loneliness and where are my folk at. I think, I'll put my I'll put my trust in the veterans and having the right approach. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Lakers.
Okay. And, Pooh, what say you? Which team do you think, if you had to pick one, is best constructed to win this reformatted championship?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna jump out there, man. I see the top three teams equal. The Lakers, the Bucks, and the Clippers. I see those guys as really being equal, man. The Bucks, young, talented, few vets on the team scattered out. The Lakers, of course, Bron and AD, two monsters, and the Clip joint, Pat Bev, defensive guy, Paul, PG-13, and last year's finals MVP Kawhi. So yeah, man, it's a toss up, but it's hard to go against the Lakers. But I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Clip joint. I think Paul George. He wasn't healthy. He definitely wasn't healthy. Kawhi still wasn't fully healthy. And I think this time has gotten those guys fully healthy. And I think they're going to be tough to beat. So I'm going to go ahead and give the nuts to the Clip joint.
Okay. So a couple things. The NBA is not going to be testing moving forward while they're out in Orlando for illegal substances. They're only going to be testing for PEDs. And I say that to say Which team has the squarest leaders on their roster? Dudes you know ain't gonna be out partying and smoking weed. and I said it's got to be the Lakers. LeBron's one of the squarest dudes in the league. I don't think he's gonna be out partying. And he's also married, and they are allowing spouses to come out after 6 games, so players can be with their families. AD is a square dude as well, one of the squarest dudes that ever come out of Chicago. So I just think on the scale of who's going to be partying the hardest while they're in Florida, and combine that with, who has already gelled. The Lakers have gelled before this break, and they had an opportunity to play games together. The Clippers, I think a total of Kawhi and Paul George have only played a total of 9 games together this year, like complete games where they were both healthy. With those two and was it the Pat Beverly? With those 3 together, only 9 games. And then the Bucks is kind of so dependent on Giannis. I think it makes it tougher for him to carry that team by himself. Once you get out of your regular schedule. So I got to say the Lakers too. I just think LeBron is one of the better leaders in the league already, and I think that'll even be more so with this different, never been here kind of format. But again, we've never been here, so we don't really fucking know.
We don't know what we're about to get into, really. It should be interesting, though.
Right, it's gonna be fun. So we do have a listener question. Damn good listener question. I'm ready to see y'all's answers on this. Kendrick from Charlotte wants to know. Al, you take this from first. Kendrick wants to know, why are white folks so afraid to let go of their position of power in this country? Al, what say you?
Yeah. Because it's power.
Right.
I just think, me and my siblings were having an interesting debate a few days ago just in regards to privilege. And, privilege is often manifests itself in the power dynamics of this country. So, we were talking about white privilege, male privilege, heterosexual privilege, and just, I think when you are in those positions where you are in the place of advantage, it takes a really, really, really good person to willingly relinquish the position of power. And, in most cases, the position isn't just given away. It's, it's taken, demanded. But most folks ain't just giving their positions away. So, I don't think that makes them extraordinarily evil humans, because they're doing what so many people would do, are doing currently in terms of their position of power and privilege in this society. So I think it's just, I don't want to say natural, because I don't know how, I'm not going to say necessarily it's human nature as much as it's just how we are as a society. It's just like the getting is good and people don't want to give it up.
Right. Yeah. All right. Pooh, why white people so afraid to let go of their position in this country?
And I'm with Al, definitely, because it's definitely power. And I mean, they've probably been told ever since they were knee-high to a duck that we're not able to do what they do. That we're not their equals, to some, and they don't want to see us flourish, get in those spots and flourish, because then they will get the realization that that everything that they were told was a farce, and it's totally not true.
Mm-hmm.
That that we can be as good or even better, if we were able to acquire and garner those positions and those slots. So, with that being said, they flat out just don't want to see us there. They just want to hold on to whatever they've been holding on to. They want to hold on to history. And with that being said, it's kind of vague because they don't even have any history with us being in those slots.
Right.
Because all they know is them being there.
Right. Yeah.
So all they can say is we can do this here, and you guys can't because they haven't seen us there, so to speak. But of course, we know who we are. We know what we can do. So with that being said, man, that's definitely the reason.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's a wrong answer to this question because I think there are some white people who are fucking evil because they're people. So there are some who are just that evil that they want to keep us down. I think there are some who don't know any better because, like you said, Pooh, there hasn't, in no point in history in this country have black people have the resources and the ability to gain power. So I think there's some that are afraid that they don't know what's coming, what that entails. Like if, because if black people were as bad as a lot of white folks say we are, there wouldn't be no white people in this country. Because we done killed them all and savaged them all, and did what they did to the natives. So I don't think there's a wrong answer to this country. White folks, just like black folks, like anybody, they're not monoliths. So it's not this, they're not, can't all paint them with the same shade. There are some white folks who think they want equality until they see it start to be stripped away, i.e. Amy Cooper and all the other Karens out there who call the police on us for existing. So they live their everyday lives thinking, hey, I'm cool with black folks. I want equality until they see it, until they see their power being impended on. So there are those. And then there's others who probably, who genuinely want to see equality. So as a whole, I think, again, there's no right or wrong answer to this question. So Kendrick, I see where you're going, and you're absolutely spot on because there are a lot of them who are just afraid because they don't know any better.
Right.
They don't know how this world would look without them having that power.
Right. And when I read this question, that made me think about this caption that I watched this, this young lady, this like young black girl holding this poster, and it read, "You guys are lucky. We just want equality, and not want to get even." So that spoke volumes. I was like, whoa. So, and when I read that question, I thought about that. So, are they afraid that we're gonna try to get even? We're gonna spawn them out of positions, and we're the higher up and the CEOs, and we see them, moving up and kicking up dust and trying to move up the ladder. We're gonna stiff arm them and say, "Oh, not so fast."
Yeah.
Because that's what's been done to us.
Right. Exactly. I could imagine people who live their lives like the family, the father and son who killed Ahmaud Arbery. I'm sure they probably think, man, if black folks get this power, they're going to start hunting us down in the streets.
Agreed.
Based on how they treat us, they think that's what we're going to do. So, yeah, I mean, there's tons of answers to this question. And none of them are right, none of them are wrong, because all white folks ain't the same. All people aren't the same. So there's pockets and groups of people who think how they think. Some ignorant, some evil, some worthy. So we'll see, because changes are happening. So a shift in power is in place, however that looks. So we're going to find out.
It's different this time, bro.
All right.
I agree.
It's different this time.
Yeah. So.
Anyone that's not like I think it was a conversation we had, and we were saying, okay, wow, this is history, and you want to make sure you're on the right side of history. And right now, bro, if you're not on this side of equality, boy, that's spawning you out. You can make a comment, and everyone is gonna lash out at you. Peter, whomever. They're gonna come for you. They're gonna hunt you down, and they're gonna uproot whatever you had as a business and your clientele, and you're done.
Right,
like you're done. Yeah. So you want to be on the right side of history. Period.
You do, and if you're not moving with the times, you're gonna get left behind.
You're gonna get left behind. You roll with us, or you rolled over. That's how it goes.
And it happens in every facet of life, even down to hip hop. We see dudes who didn't want to stop being gangster rappers and wearing army fatigues and do
right.
that. Right. And they held on for as long as they could. But if you don't change with the times, you're gonna get left behind, and you're gonna be then you're gonna be the old dude in the club trying to get a record deal. Right.
You're gonna be in this. You're gonna be in that special. Where are they now?
Where are they now? Exactly.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's just a matter of time. So even though there is no right or wrong answer to this question, Kendrick, it's not hypothetical. There are millions of answers to this question because there are millions of white folks in this country who all think differently. So we'll definitely find out that we do know. But appreciate your question, Kendrick, from Charlotte. Y'all keep sending us these questions, man. We love responding to them. We love engaging with you guys. Email us at info@godefylife.com or hit us up on social media and in all platforms at godefylife. We'll, whether you just want to address something that we said, get something off your chest, or if you just want to get insight, a different perspective. So y'all keep sending us these. We highly enjoy it. Y'all, we are in position to have our most compact show ever. I put it in a different format. I didn't want to say shortest or quickest, but I'm really compact. I like this. If Pooh's ready for this trivia, we can get to getting on.
Man,
what we got?
Man, I'm ready. This just came across my screen on CNN. Man, Cops has been canceled for the negative connotations and whatever. But Cops has just been canceled after 30 years on the air. But
wow.
Yeah, it just came across my my little iPhone news joint.
Wow, and that's funny.
So
I was just saying last week, it was one of those rip-off cop shows. There's a million of them now. But I refuse to watch them because I don't want to, participate in the, like you said, just the negative connotations of be it cops, black folks, poor people. That's all you see on those shows. So, good. They need to take all them shits off there.
Right, and I can only assume that, what is it called? First 48 will be next, probably. Because like 98% of that are black folk and Hispanic and Mexicans. Like that's all they show.
And poor white
that's
folk.
killing someone. Right, exactly.
Yeah,
hey man, this right here, this is pretty easy. We're going popular shows from the 90s. I'm going to give you a small detail, and you're going to give me the show. And we're going to keep naming them until someone doesn't know the show.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you, fairly easy context clues. So, it's just that simple.
Are we talking like all sitcoms or any kind of show? Dramas, any show?
Anything.
Okay.
Could be drama, HBO, NBC, whatever.
Okay. Gotcha. All right.
Okay.
So Al beat me last week. That's fresh in my mind.
Of course he did.
So, true that. True that. So Al.
Yes, sir.
You're up first, brother. You ready?
Yes, sir. Go, let's hit it.
All right. 3 young men and 3 young women of the BFF kind live in the same apartment complex and face life and love in New York. What is the sitcom?
Friends?
Friends. You are correct. Jay.
Yes, sir.
Here we go. This actor and rapper plays basically himself in this good-natured NBC sitcom. As the show popularity theme song explains, fictional Will's mom sends him away from his rough Philadelphia neighborhood to live with his wealthy Uncle Phil and Aunt Vivian. What is this sitcom?
Your home's the Bel Air, Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I'm not going to do the cartoons right now.
Right.
If you guys get to the point where it's certain death, then I'll do the cartoons.
All right.
Okay. All right, Al, on you. When Danny Tanner's wife dies, the San Francisco sportscaster gets support in the form of 2 new roommates, brother-in-law and party boy Jesse, and his stand-up comic friend Joey. What is the sitcom? 8, 7,
Damn.
6, 5, 4, 3.
Yeah, I don't remember.
2, and 1.
Yeah, I'm out.
Okay. Jay, do you know this answer?
That's Full House.
What is it, Jay?
Full House.
Full House. Okay. Now, Jay, you have to answer yours.
All
right. Wow. Okay. Let me see. On this definitive show in the 90s, originally follows the lives of Brandon and Brenda Walsh, who both eventually leave the show and their friends through high school and through their journey to adulthood and college. What is this 90s sitcom?
Beverly Hills 90210.
Beverly Hills 90210 is correct. JR, you are the winner.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you, Brenda and Brandon.
Brenda and Brandon Walsh. Yeah.
I made just as quick work as Al as he did with you last week.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah.
And I tried to leave out Luke Perry because I thought Luke Perry would have been a dead giveaway. But Brandon and Brenda Walsh, that was pretty. Yeah. And then the next one, I didn't even get to read my next one. But Al, let me go to this one, see if you would have get this one.
Okay.
All right. 4 single friends. Well, yeah, because their names in it. Comic Jerry Seinfeld, bungling George Costanza, frustrated working gal, right, Elaine Bennis, and eccentric neighbor Cosmo Kramer deal with the absurdities of everyday life in New York. That would have been your next one, Al. And of course, that was the dead giveaway, right?
Damn, I got robbed. You gave me the Full House one. The one with Stamos.
Right. Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's Seinfeld.
That sound, Jay, let me see if you would have got this one. This would have been yours. Okay. With the help of True Love Topanga, best friend Sean, and teacher Mr. Friendly, Corey Matthews juggle school, friends, and romance.
Man, think I don't know nothing about Topanga? When man, boy meets world.
Boy meets world. Right.
Wow.
Okay, Al. Let me do one more, Al. Let me see if you would have got this one, man. Y'all make my list so short. Okay. Inmates in this correctional officers inside of Oswald State Correctional Facility, nicknamed Battle for Power and Survival amid warring factions and explosive actions of the retribution. What is this?
I forgot about this show.
HBO.
That was a good show. Yeah, that was a good show.
That was good.
Wow. You knew that one, Al?
I did. Oz.
Okay. Oz. Okay. All right. That's cool. I just wanted to make sure. And of course, when Jay Overs have been policeman, Carl Winslow has enough to deal with his job.
Did I do that?
Right. That would have been yours.
Family Matters.
Family Manners.
That would have been yours. Okay, and the last one. Focus on the Bundys, a suburban Chicago family who would rather eat nails than than say kind words to each other. What was that one, Al?
That would be Married with Children.
Married with Children. Oh man, oh wow. That other one stumped you. We would have still been going.
Right.
Still been going.
Yeah.
And I watched Full House. I mean, you know.
I know you did. Yeah. Truth be told, though, it started in '87, but it ended in the '90s. So the other ones really started in the '90s. So it's really kind of
flag on the play.
Right.
Well,
right.
No,
but
it didn't say it
you lost
began in the '90s. It said
right.
That was the '80s. That was the '80s. See, I didn't know that. See, I was thinking that started in the '90s. That's what I was thinking about.
We sure that's what held him up, right?
Sure. What I say, Jay?
What?
But you lost fair and square.
Dang.
Right.
Oh,
this was a good one, though, man. I had about 15, 16 of them.
Wow, that was a good one. I like that one.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Pooh, man, you hosted. What you got for me? What's your parting shot?
Man, I definitely want to say, keep wearing your mask. Wow. South Carolina has doubled in, COVID-19 cases. Definitely keep it strapped up. And young cats out there, everybody has their part. Whether you're sharing videos or you're sharing information with the protests and you're getting information out there with the voting, everyone has their part. Play your part, whether it's outfield, infield, second base, third base, whatever. Everyone play your part, and those people that's out there in the streets every day, tossing monuments into the river, into the ocean, tearing things down. You guys are my heroes, man. And I said that last night on Speak the Truth, and I had to really conceal myself from crying. But you guys are my absolute heroes, man. And I love each and every one of y'all, Chinese, Asian, whatever, black, white, you out there and you for the cause, man. I absolutely love you. And I appreciate it, man. You're my hero.
Absolutely. All right. Al, what you got for me?
I just want to say, as we go into this time of change, and I'm a big believer in honest engagement amongst all people groups, particularly as we talk about race. I think that's communication, exposure is going to be the key. And I say this after I got a phone call a few days ago from a classmate, friend of mine, white dude I've known for 30 years. And we've been talking over the last few months about doing some projects together. So that was really the purpose of the call. But he started the call by saying, Al, I just want to let you know, while I've been thinking about you over the last few days as this world has just been spinning, I didn't want to just call you just to check on you, just as, let me check on my black friend and see how he's doing. Mm-hmm. And, I hope you don't take that any special kind of way, but I know you. I figured if you needed anything, you would call, but I don't want you to think like I wasn't thinking about you, but I also just didn't want to call you just because you're my black friend, or one of my black friends. And I was like, honestly, let me just say this, dude. One, I appreciate his transparency and coming straight at me like that. And I also appreciate that he didn't feel this need to confirm the relationship that we have by making one of these I feel guilty white people calls. So, and really it would have been probably more for him than it would have been for me. And so I really, either way, I appreciate the honesty of the moment. And I think that's what these types of conversations are going to require, is people being vulnerable, people going to where places that they might be a little uncomfortable, and but doing it from a place of wanting to engage and have a shared future is kind of where I'm at. So I just think that shout out to him, and we just need more of these people, all of us willing to engage in honest conversations with each other on these issues.
Dope. Okay. Yeah, I really just want to talk about just perspective, man. I lost my first best friend in the world, right? Dude I met when I was 4 years old in daycare. And from that point, one of us was at each other's house at least twice a month on the weekend for the next probably 13 years, 14 years till we got to high school. So my first best friend outside of my family. And lost one this week, 42 years old. His birthday's 2 days before mine. His mom's like my second mom. And it's tough, man. It's difficult when you are, like I said, when you start losing friends, like not because of like off-kilter stuff, like not because of car accidents or, murder, like, stuff that's just like life stuff. When you start losing friends off of that, it starts to make you question perspective and put things in perspective. So, shout out to Damon, man, one of the most stand-up dudes I've ever known. Again, like 42 years old, and I still call his mom Ma and talk to her every Mother's Day. And so it's just the impact that people can have on your life, even when you don't talk every day. And I told Pooh this earlier. I'll tell you this now, Al. My apologies, and now on my behalf of our relationships. Because we got to do better of being in each other's presence, even though, our family does a great job of being in each other's presence. But just friendship overall. And Al, I'll tell you this, like, you're one of the people that even if you weren't my cousin, you'd be my friend. So I love you guys. And, sorry to get all emotional and mushy on you, but I'm in that place right now. So I love you. Thank you guys for everything. And I promise I will do better about being in your presence. So that's all I got.
I hear you, my brother. And again, my condolences. It's interesting. I lost my first best friend when I was 20.
Wow.
So I hear you, and those are tough losses because you don't get too many soldiers in your life. Right. So absolutely. My condolences, and definitely receive what you're saying, and vice versa, my brother. So
appreciate it. Well, yeah. So y'all, this has been episode 161 of the Defy Life podcast. Our most condensed episode ever. Proud of you guys. Let's get in and get out. We'll talk to you again next week. Until then, Defy Life.
Defy Life.
Defy Life.
Best Medicine Podcast with Simba, sparking positive change in the community, having real conversations and therapy. And that laughter's the best remedy. Got that heavy dose of humor for your hearts to heal. With mental health, it can't get any more real, yeah. Best Medicine Podcast. Laugh, love, learn. Best Medicine Podcast.
Best Med Pod. It's your man Simba Roar back in this thing one more time, bruh. Come get your weekly diagnosis. Thursday at midnight. Only on the Defy Life Podcast Network. Check us out, though.